Hello, this is Dread from Epic Builds, and in this video we will go over Aspect of the Shark Beastmaster 2.0, one of the best builds I have played this patch with a sub 40-second Orbis kill at 300 corruption and good clear. Before we get into the video, if you enjoy the content and want more, I suggest liking and commenting on the video, as that's the best way to support the channel, as well as let YouTube know I'm doing a good job. So, Aspect of the Shark was nerfed in 8.3. It was reduced from infinite stacks to 10 max stacks. To help it out after completely destroying that version, they also changed the base 50% increased melee damage to 75%, which with this, it actually buffs the build in some ways. Having a quicker ramp up is better for monoliths, as we felt like a limp noodle most of the time in monoliths thanks to not being able to consistently get over 20 plus stacks. But now that each stack is better, it makes the times where you feel good last longer and easier to get to. They also nerf crystal swords, so it's just better to run different weapons. They also changed Raider axes. Raider axes are now eagle wings, 4% base crit and 4% movement speed. Definitely worth losing the 1% base crit for some extra movement speed. Makes getting to 100% increased movement speed very easy. We also are using the new techniques that I used beforehand in the Necrotic Wolf Beastmaster setup, as we can use Wolf Howl plus Frenzy Totem to cap our crit, meaning we don't need to run crit chance anywhere on gear. All of these come together to make your swipe insane for clear and deal decent enough single target. But now we talk about the biggest addition to the build. Since we are gaining mana with swipe, we actually oversustain the Warcry plus Frenzy plus Howl combo, meaning that we can run something else, which is Earthquake. We set up Earthquake for the triple cast, as we have so much attack speed that we can weave it in constantly on single target, and can just focus it on single target damage, as our swipe does most of our clear. It raises the build to a whole new level of insanity. Not only do we have the big smacks, we also have the fast attack speed and also the fast movement speed as well. So overall, this build is much better than last patch. One other neat thing about this build is, thanks to all the leech on the tree, we are actually very tanky. We can phase tank stuff like Orbis and big packs and monos. We can also tank all of Elder Gaspar's attack at 300 plus corruption, except for the beam, of course, which most builds can't deal with anyways. And since we have some decent minion health regen affixes, our wolf barely dies either. I think I've had him die once, and that was to the beam from Elder Gaspar. But yeah, with all that being said, let's get into the video, shall we? Here we are in game with the build here. So the main combo, as I've been doing this in videos now just to show people what to do with the build, is we Warcry to gain Berserker stacks, which we get up to 14 here, which is really nice, right? And then of course we use then Frenzy Totem, which will take Howl off of cooldown. Then we Howl, and that will give us some crit chance. So as you can tell, we actually reach up to max crit chance with this combo. So let me show you here. Now we always crit. Now obviously on the dummy it does not show you Aspect of the Shark stacks, but that is a lot of attack speed and damage we get from aspects of the Shark stacks specifically. But yeah, and then while we're on single target, we can just do the same combo. As you can tell, let me get up to max stacks here. And we can weave in some Earthquake procs, which is really nice as well. I don't know why it's not showing the Earthquake procs. We're doing like 200k crits without like any aspect of the Shark stacks. I think it gets up to 1,000,000 with aspect of the Shark stacks, but the problem is we can't simulate it thanks to the way the dummy works. I know on Orbis we're doing like 100k crits with like Earthquake, which is like plenty, right? It's like insane, especially at 300 corruption. But yeah, let's get into the skills, shall we? So for the first skill, we have Swipe here. We take 3 points into Aspect of the Panther. Having 60% increased damage is nice, especially since Aspect of the Shark does not give us infinite melee damage anymore. 3 points into Wild Calling. So pretty much, all in all, All this is just extra auto attacks. They're wolves that like just increase your clear with they pretty much just increase your clear with a swipe pretty much. So that's all you need to know about that, sadly. It's very hard to know how they actually work. All we know is they do enough damage that they really work well at clearing. But yeah, and then of course 2 points travel into Blood Beast, 1 point travel into Rending, although this does eventually reach the shred cap if you attack fast enough. And of course 3 points in Duality of Nature to gain mana when we use Swipe, so that we can actually afford all of our other abilities. We take 2 points into Way of the Hunt for the hit damage and the leech, 4 points into Wingarian Reach for the AoE and the damage, 1 point travel into Culling, then 3 points into Trapper for the more damage. And that's pretty much it for swipe. If you were to do a not +2 swipe, what you can do is remove some AoE. You could do that. You could remove a little bit of damage. You could remove one node out of wild calling. There are a few things you could do, although +2 swipe is pretty easy to get thanks it's on a relic. But yeah, that's pretty much it for swipe. Now for Warcry here, just a note, I am running Yorman's Wrath because this node causes bleeds and this converts into frostbite. Why am I doing this? Well, my computer lags heavily when I bleed, as you can tell in the footage, because as I attack with my swipe, I'm getting a bunch of bleeds on the enemy, and there's not really much else I can do about it other than run Malahit's Hubris. So yeah, uh, that's why I'm running that node. Otherwise, I'd be lagging super hard. If you do not lag from bleed, you could always run just an extra point in battle cry, just so you know. Then we take 1 point travel into Staggering Roar, 1 point travel into Kinetic Scream, 2 points travel into Shredding Howl, then 1 point into Shallow Breath for the cooldown, of course, 1 point into Juggernaut for the invulnerability. One thing to note, Warcry does delete projectiles when you use it. So for instance, the Orb is projectile phase where he has projectiles coming towards him. You can actually Warcry to remove projectiles from the screen, which is nice. Then 1 point into Berserker. We have the main Berserker set up here, mainly for the flat physical and the attack speed. Gives us a lot of damage on single target. This on top of Aspect of the Shark makes her single target absolutely insane. And now for Frenzy Totem. This is the same setup we pretty much used last build, except we're running Dig Deep instead of the health and duration, which is fine, which is really nice because having all that extra crit chance is really good. Caps our crit out. Of course, the lead of the pack is very strong. Of course, Furious Cry is how this build is even enabled. But yeah, that's pretty much for Frenzy Totem. Now for Summon Wolf, it is different from last time because we're using it to buff us instead of actually deal damage. So you take 2 points travel into Savage Hunters, 2 points travel into Victory Howl, 2 points into Snarl for the extra melee damage. I think this is like 150. I think it's, yeah, 150 total, which is really nice. And then, of course, makes it so Howl on our kill chance to Howl, which is nice. 3 points into Call of the Wind. This just gives us haste. It's really nice because we're always proccing it thanks to our Frenzy Totem. So we almost always have haste up, which is really cool. Then, of course, 2 points into Howl duration as well. Makes it so the Howl lasts longer, which is really nice. And Howl on boss hit chances didn't really come up often. But yeah, having the extra duration is really good because having the extra crit and all that's really good. And of course, just health and health regen, so our wolf never dies. And then now for Earthquake here, we take 4 points into Rupture for the more damage, 1 point into Seismic Smash to make it so that we only use our initial hit, 1 point to Seismic Tide. This puts Earthquake on a cooldown, but it makes it hit 3 times, but it makes it so that we can kind of weave it in with our swipes, which is really good. And then, of course, we take 3 points into Potency. Normally, you would not be putting points into this because it reduces the area of Earthquake significantly. You could either use Outbreak instead, but what we're doing here is we are actually using this for single target, so the more damage, the better. So we don't really care the fact that it's actually removing area because we're always just going to be standing on top of the target anyways, right? So that's really nice. And of course, 4 points in Crushing Wake for the 80% more damage. Just so you know, the Aftershock damage turns into initial initial hit damage thanks to this node specifically, so this is good damage for us. 2 points travel into lethargy, 1 point into outbreak, then 4 points into shatterquake. We have a little bit of chill on our weapon, so enemies are pretty much always chilled, like single targets are. So it gives us just a lot of damage, and that's pretty much it for the skills. Now for the passives here. This is 6 points into Gift of the Wilderness for HP because we want as much HP as possible. 1 point into Harmony of Blades for the dual wield because we are dual wielding eagle wings. Primalist is one of the only class that can dual wield axes, which is really good. 5 points into Hunter's Restoration for the increased health. 1 point travel into Primal Strength. 1 point travel into Survival of the Pact. 1 point travel into Primal Medicine. Then 5 points in Ancient Call. This is your stereotypical like Beastmaster tree. And of course, 5 points into Berserker for the DR while in low life, which is really nice. Makes our last chunk of HP really, really strong. Then for Shaman, I take 4 points into Shamanic Infusion. The pen is nice, but we're mainly doing it so we can get up to Earthquake. 1 point travel into Silent Protector. Then 5 points into Totemic Fury for the attack speed, which is really nice. Then we take 6 points into Blood Claws for the Fizz damage leeches life, which is a lot of leech, and then of course the Fizz pen as well. Then for Beastmaster, we take 8 points into Ursine Strength to get the DR, 4 points into Boarheart to get the aspect of the Boar DR, 5 points into Porcine Constitution for even more DR, 1 point travel into Call of the Pact, 1 point travel into Savagery, 1 point travel into Ambush. Then, of course, 4 out of 5 points in Rending Maw. I found this is enough armor shred. You could go with more, you could go with less. I haven't really decided on whether or not you armor shred is that good for the build, although we are hitting a lot, so armor shred should be good. And of course, 4 out of 5 points for Circle of Life. I found this is enough to keep up 10 stacks while clearing. You could obviously go for 5. It just really depends on how you feel on that. I think 4 out of 5 is plenty for me. 1 point into Dragon Slayer so that the on kill effects from Circle of Life is on hit with a boss, so we can actually gain up to 10 stacks on our boss when we do bosses. 8 points into Ocean Maw for effect and duration. Then, of course, 1 point into Feeding Frenzy. It reduces the effectiveness, but makes it so we can stack it 10 times. And this, combined with effect, is a really strong way of scaling your damage. And then we have 5 points to Viper Fangs. You obviously want 10 eventually, but the problem is we don't have enough passives because we're a Beastmaster. 10 points into Avian Shelter for the Endurance Threshold and the Resistance. The Fizz resistance for the minion is pretty nice too because it means our wolf doesn't die as often. 4 points into Cry of the Lynx. It'll grant us aspect of the Lynx duration for about 4 seconds, which gives us 100% crit chance. This is really good. I only need 4 points into it because I'm constantly spamming Howl, which is our companion ability, with a Frenzy Totem, which has like a 6-second cooldown. So this is pretty much always up. I found 4 seconds to be good enough. And of course, 5 points out of 6 in Serrated Claws. Eventually, we'd want 6 points, but like I said, it's hard to do that when we don't have that many passives. It gives us about 120% crit multi in the end. You could also run Link's effect to raise this amount as well. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the passives now for the gearing. My idols are fucked up. These should be aspect of the shark. So 4 of these should be aspect of the shark effect, and then 4 of them should be double HP idols. That's like your best setup. If you want to see that, it's in the description. The helmet, we're running HP, aspect of the Lynx effect. You want that to be shark effect, but I didn't have any shark effect at the time, so I went with Lynx effect as your perfect helm. Otherwise, the amulet, it's like kind of shitty. You'd want crit multi and then like a resistance on top of that on the suffix. Then for the wings, you want attack speed, melee fizz, slow, and chill on both of them. You could also run armor shred as well. But yeah, eagle wings are insane because the crit chance is nuts. Also, the movement speed is nuts. Eagle wings also look very sick in game, which is a nice little, nice little thing as well. Aspect of the shark effect, you want minion health here so that your minion has a little bit more health so he doesn't get one shot by bosses. Then HP. That would be your perfect setup for your chest. The rings, strength, fizz, res, strength, fizz, res. Same thing here. You can run endurance and crit avoid as well. Belt, health regen, minion health regen mainly because this makes it so your minion doesn't die. And of course, increase regen, then HP is your perfect belt, just needs to be rolled better. This is the wrong kind of gloves. You'd probably want void res gloves with like attack speed, strength, HP, and then crit avoid. I just had these lying around and I threw them on. Same thing with the boots. So you can run crit avoid instead of that HP, and it'd be really nice. You can crap your crit avoid without having to use dragon. Now, of course, this is kind of perfect. Like +2 swipe, resistance on a spirit catcher base. You would want some minion health regen though. Minion health regen would be really nice as well, and that would make it so your wolf literally never dies. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the gearing, and that's pretty much it for the video. With that being said, thank you all for watching, and have a wonderful rest of your day wherever you're at. I hope you guys enjoy some gameplay.